The meditation gives us some calmness, some tranquility, and some peacefulness. We all are experiencing those beautiful, less or more, at least for time to time. Also, the present moment. We experience the present moment. As we discussed yesterday, the present moment is just a concept, just a beautiful word. Usually, we do not experience it because we are psychologically and emotionally living in the past and in the future. Psychologically, not physically, because we realized this, that physically we are in the present. Physically, no one can stay or no one can go to the past or go to the future. It's not possible. Physically, no one can go to yesterday or tomorrow. Physically, what we can do is stay here today. And somehow the body is so fortunate. Our physical body is fortunate because it is always living in the present. Because yesterday, because of that, it's impossible. If the body is also living in the past and in the future, then there is no way to meditate. But fortunately, the body is living in the present, always, from the beginning to the end. And the body is also supporting us to come back to the present and stay in the present. And therefore, we are grateful for the body. We can meditate, we can come back to the present, we can stay in the present, we can experience the present, and the present becomes life. So it is not just a concept or just an idea or just a beautiful word anymore. It is our life experience. But for the mind, it's different. Also, we discovered this, that even though the body is in the present always, but there is a problem or there is an issue in the body, because body body does so many things. so many actions the body makes, and all the actions are happening in the present. That's true. Whatever, small or big, all kinds of physical actions, activities are happening in the present. The problem is most of those physical activities are happening habitually, not consciously. So it is a contradiction. The body is living in the present, and the body makes all kinds of activities in this present moment, but most of them are happening habitually. And habits are part of the past. No habit can be part of the present. Whatever habit, physical habit, psychological habit, or even emotional habit, cannot be part of the present or part of the future. And it's very clear. So all the habits are part of the past. Therefore, even though the body is living in the present and making all kinds of actions in the present moment, but it's a victim of the past. Even the body and bodily activities are victims of the past. Therefore, the body is not free. So we are not free physically. Of course, psychologically and emotionally and spiritually, we are not free. That's why we meditate. But even physically, we are not free. The body is not free. And we may experience so many circumstances because of this. The present is okay. We can't find any reason in the present, but the body is going through certain difficulties, pain, and some other tensions, maybe some sicknesses because of the past. Therefore, dear friends, the body is a prisoner in its own habits. And but somehow we can meditate. So you do walking meditation and you walk in the present. You cannot walk in the past. You cannot walk in the future. We all are walking in the present. But at the same time, you may realize this, that the walking happens habitually. The body just walks, and it walks nicely, perfectly, without making any mistake. And walking habitually is not the way to do walking meditation. And by doing walking meditation, we can make the body free. And when we do walking meditation more and more and more, then we will realize this, that the body is becoming free, more and more free. It is coming out from the jail. Otherwise, the body is a prisoner. So that's why, dear friends, that we ask you to do all kinds of physical movements and activities consciously. So you are fully allowed to make physical movements and actions. You don't have to be a statue. I would like to repeat it again today. That is not the aim of the meditation, to become a stone made statue. No, that's a wrong idea about the practice, about meditation. You can make physical movements. You can move your hands, arms, even the body, your head, but not habitually. Very consciously. On one hand, you are having full freedom. Maybe first time that you experience this freedom, you are uh, fully free to make whatever physical action. On the other hand, you are having a responsibility to be conscious, and they are going together. They are very nice partners. The freedom and being responsible. The responsibility. We don't have hundred of responsibilities. Only one or two or maximum three. So the first responsibility is being conscious. Especially as a meditator, especially as a practitioner. This is the first self-responsibility. So don't afraid, dear friends, there are no hundred of responsibilities. Only very, very few, less than three. But the very first responsibility is being conscious. And at the same time, feel the freedom. Feel the freedom. You will feel it more and more when you are being conscious. How much you are being conscious, that much you feel that you are free. Your body is free. Therefore, it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. They are going together. And so it's easier to meditate with the body. Easier to being conscious on the body. Easier than meditate on the mind or being conscious on the mind. Because of what? Because because of the first thing is because of this long one of the longest habits to behave mechanically without knowing what it is doing. This is something interesting, dear friends. By being aware on the body and by being aware, being conscious on bodily activities, we can make a list of all the bodily activities, whatever we are doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, we can make a list. And it is not like 100 of bodily activities. Very few. Walking, sitting, standing, lying down, moving, looking up, looking down, looking side, eating, drinking, going to washrooms, uh, having a shower, so dressing. Yeah, there are a couple of bodily activities, but there are no 100 of bodily activities. Very limited, very few. And when we are aware on the mind, only then uh, it might be a surprise, especially for the beginners. How many mental activities are going on? How many? So many. More than the body. So it's a complex. The body is something simple compared to the mind. The body is cute and simple. But the mind is so complicated. And the other interesting aspect is usually the body is making actions one by one after the other, one after the other. The body does not make uh, 5 actions at once, but the mind is different. The mind can make many actions at once together, and the mind thinks it's a skill. The body can't, the mind can. Therefore, the mind thinks, I am superior than the body. I am smarter than the body. But actually, it's other way around. Anyway, because of all those reasons, and the other one is the mind is living in the past and living in the future. The body is unable to live in the past and live in the future, but the mind is living in the past and living in the future. Therefore, no present moment for the mind. The present moment is available only for the body. So we experience the present moment physically, but not psychologically. Poor mind. The mind never experienced the present moment at all. But the mind can speak about the present. Mind is so eager to speak about all those things without experiencing. And mind is happy to speak about meditation, about the present moment, about the consciousness, about the mindfulness, about the enlightenment, instead of experiencing them. The body is opposite. The body doesn't want to speak about them. The body does not make any stories about all those things, but the body is experiencing whatever it can experience. Therefore, dear friends, the meditation is asking us to come down to whatever we experience instead of thinking, thinking, and overthinking about whatever. The mind doesn't happy about it. Especially in the beginning, the mind does not happy about the meditation. The body is happy, but not the mind. Because the mind feels that the mind is becoming a prisoner because of this meditation. The body feels that it is becoming free because of the meditation. But the mind feels opposite. The mind thinks that it is becoming a prisoner because of the meditation. The mind thinks that it is losing its own freedom. But it is an illusion, dear friends. It's a real illusion. If the mind is wandering and dwelling in the past and the future, that mind is not free at all. That mind even does not know anything about the freedom. That mind does not experience a bit of taste of the freedom at all. All are beautiful ideas and concepts, and the mind is happy about concepts, and mind is satisfied about concepts. The mind thinks the concept is the reality. So childish mind. The mind is so childish. The mind believes the word is the reality. Words are real. Words are not real. They are just words. They are just sounds. They are just ideas. They are just concepts. And if we change, if we give a different name to all those things, to enlightenment, we can say something else, hell, for the enlightenment. We can rename it. We can rename everything. So no different. The mind is imprisoned inside of its own concepts, own ideas. And the mind doesn't know about it. The mind does not want to know about it because the mind is happy. Especially the mind which is intellectual mind. The mind has many versions, many faces. One of the versions is the intellectual mind. And when we meditate, when we try to meditate, then first we meet this intellectual mind. There are many, many minds, but that mind, the intellectual mind comes first. And it says, I know about meditation, I know about the mindfulness, I know about the consciousness, I know about the enlightenment. Yes, that's true. That intellectual mind knows so many ideas and concepts and interpretations and definitions of everything. And the intellectual mind thinks that's it. Unfortunately, dear friends, we are always dealing with this intellectual mind. And that's the mind for us. That's the mind for most of humans. And we think that's all. That's the mind. The intellectual mind is so deluded. So deluded. When we sit nearby a lake and we can see reflections of mountains which are standing next to the lake, or trees, reflections of trees, maybe even the reflection of the Everest. We can see, we look at lake, water, and we think, that's Everest. I see Everest. I see the mountain. And we can take pictures. And it's beautiful. And the mind can be happy. So that mind doesn't want to climb the Everest. That mind does not want to climb the Everest, climb the mountain. Without climbing the mountain, without reach the peak of the mountain, it thinks, I know everything about the mountain. Because it sees the reflection of the mountain. And we are, unfortunately, we are always dealing with shadows. All the words are just shadows. They are having beautiful meanings, beautiful ideas. But the word is not the thing. You say something is sweet, tasty, beautiful. Those words are impossible, unable to express your feeling, what you really experience. Your experience is different than the beautiful, the word of the beautiful, the word of the tasty. There is no word for this, really no words. And once you become aware, conscious on these things, what you are really experiencing and how the mind is conceptualizing your experiences. Only then you will realize this, that it's impossible. It's really impossible. And you are lying. The mind is lying. Mind is saying something else. You experience one thing and the mind is speaking about something else. So that type of mind doesn't want to meditate. This intellectual mind doesn't want to meditate because it is satisfied. It thinks, I am okay, I am perfect, I know. So why I have to meditate? It's an obstacle for the practice. Dear friends, please be aware on that. Of course, we can get support from our intellectual mind. We can get, but usually it is disturbing to the practice. It says you don't have to practice because I already knew it. We knew. And then the mind starts to make stories out of the present moment, out of the consciousness, out of the meditation, out of the enlightenment, out of the samadhi, concentration, one pointedness, about everything. And we believe that we are thinking about the enlightenment, we are thinking about the consciousness, we are thinking about the mindfulness, but actually not. We are just thinking, not about anything. We are just thinking and thinking and thinking. There is no about. About what? When you are becoming conscious, you will realize this, that the mind is just thinking and thinking and thinking, not about anything. But the mind thinks that I am thinking about this and that. To think about whatever, the mind should know about it. Without knowing, how possible to think? It is impossible. So, dear friends, whenever the mind begins to think, just drop it. Do not feed it. Please do not support to the thinking mind. That is not way to meditate. That is not the way to be conscious. Just drop it. Just make a full stop. And the mind isn't happy about it. The mind may start to argue with us. Why are you trying to stop? I'm thinking about meditation. I'm thinking about the enlightenment. I'm thinking about different stages of the enlightenment or whatever. So I'm serious. I'm my thinking is supporting you to meditate. But actually, no support. In this way, we can't get any support. The mind cannot support us just by thinking. What can happen is the mind is bringing us away from the meditation. The mind is carrying us away from the practice, away from the present moment, whenever the mind starts to think about the present moment. It's very clear. Please do your own experiment and realize it. Whenever the mind starts to think about the consciousness, immediately you are going away from the consciousness. But you have some feeling that you are conscious, because you are thinking about the consciousness. It is same like you are looking at the reflection down there inside the lake and see, oh, this is the mountain. I know I can see even the top of peak of the mountain. So without climbing, even without making any single step, we think that we see the mountain. It's a trap. It's a very subtle and invisible trap. The mind doesn't allow us to see the truth. This mind, the intellectual mind, that is important. The intellectual mind is useful for so many things in our life. Of course, no argument about it. And somehow it helps us to make a decision to meditate. I want to meditate. And that's also important. But not after the decision, not during the meditation. Before, yes. Therefore, dear friends, without thinking twice, please drop all kinds of thinking as earlier as possible. There is no any other way to meditate. Put a full stop. Don't ask this question. You are thinking about what? Are you thinking about the practice or something else? Or if you are thinking about something else, then don't think. Think about the meditation. If you are thinking about meditation or some related topics about the practice, then you can think. No, topics are not important. Topics are just shadows. The most important thing is what we really experience and nothing to think, just to experience, nothing to conceptualize, just to be conscious. So make sure about these both directions. Start to climb the mountain, step by step, start to make the journey real. Instead of just looking at shadows and making beautiful ideas and stories. and it's not easy. It is easier to sitting in one posture for a while, for half an hour, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, even for 1 hour. That's not a big challenge because the body is innocent and the body likes to be still. Yeah, really the body likes. But this intellectual mind is different. Again, please understand this. The mind is not only this intellectual mind. This is only a surface of the mind. The mind has uh, many other versions. The mind is really deeper than this intellectual mind, but that is the surface layer, the top layer. And we are always working with this intellectual mind, and therefore we think that's the mind. It is always thinking, always making stories, fantasies. And we don't know any other mind. This intellectual mind always wants to think and think and think and think. Non-stop thinker. Really, there is no ends. Do you think that the intellectual mind has some ends? No. It can think. Soon after you get up in the early morning, throughout the entire day, till the last moment of just before you sleep. No problem for this intellectual mind. And it is not becoming tired at all. It never says, I am tired. It never says enough. It is always looking for new topics to think, new shadows to conceptualize. How much it can think, that much it can energize. This intellectual thinking mind is just like a fire. How much firewood you supply, that much that fire is existing. The fire never says, I am tired. Enough. Enough for today. They have been burning this whole morning. Therefore, enough. I need a rest now. We cannot expect these words from the fire. Same. The thinking mind never says, I am tired. We feel tiredness. We feel the tiredness. Of course, the body feels the tiredness because of this non-stop thinking. The head feels the tiredness. The brain feels the tiredness. The heart feels the tiredness. The entire body experiences the tiredness because of this non-stop thinking mind, but not the mind. That's the case. If the mind feels the tiredness, then we are already enlightened. but it never. Poor mind. Therefore, dear friends, please put a full stop. And you may think it's something unkind. The mind wants to think, but you stop it. It is something unethical, unkind. No, this is the real compassion. If you are really kind to your mind, then please help your mind to have a rest. By stopping whatever thinking is going on, no matter about the topic. Don't concern about the topic. For meditation, for other things, of course, yes, but for the practice, there are no topics to think. All are shadows. All are unreal. So when you put a full stop for whatever present thinking, and then the mind starts a new thinking about a new topic. And again, be aware and put a full stop. And please do it as a game, not as a fight. So mind starts to think, then you put a full stop. And the mind starts to think again, put a full stop. So your practice is this. It's simple. Just putting full stops. No complications. Don't make the practice complicated. And do it with compassion. Not against the mind. Not as a punishment to the mind. Not you are punishing to the mind. Really you are helping to the mind. You are helping to yourself. And so after making a full stop, then feel your body. The body is in the present moment. The body is experiencing in the present. So feel the body. Feel the stillness. And the body also speaks. The body may say, I have pain here. The legs are sleeping. There is a numbness, some tension. The body doesn't use these words, but the body is speaking us through all those sensations. The body is speaking whatever is really happening in this moment. Not about something, not about the pain, not about the numbness, not about any tension, not about. The body is directly speaking. Whatever it is experiencing, the body doesn't know about any shadows. The body only knows the reality. Reality means whatever it is really experiencing. So come back to whatever the body is really experiencing. It doesn't matter whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. That is not important for the consciousness. But for the thinking mind, of course, they are big topics to make long stories. But for the consciousness, same, pleasant or unpleasant. They are your present experiences. Feel them. Stay with them as long as possible. And dear friends, maybe you are not using your intellectual thinking mind first time in your life. You are free from this non-stop thinking mind, at least for 1 second or 1 minute. And you will feel the freedom. And again, that thinking mind may come back and it starts to think about that freedom. And it's so funny. Really, it's a joke. Then immediately that thinking mind starts to think about the freedom. And then the freedom has gone. And be alert. Be alert to differentiate the shadow and the reality. The truth and concepts. The theme of this retreat is the truth of the heart. The truth of the heart. Oh, yeah, I think that's something like that. So stay with the truth, not with concepts. To do it, we have to be alert. And later, slowly and gradually, the mind begins to experience the joy of the rest, the joy of the freedom, the joy of non-thinking consciousness. It takes some time. Till that, we had to face to this struggle. We are not struggling to meditate, but the mind is struggling. Especially this thinking mind is struggling. So don't take it so seriously. In this way, dear friends, whether you are a beginner or experienced meditator, no matter, you will enjoy the practice. You will see the joy of meditation, not at the end of the journey, with the first step of the journey. Let us meditate. Thank you very much, dear friends. Thanks for your kind attention, and please try to put these teachings into your